Here's a story. In the story occurred, this is one of these Sephardic stories, which it could be true or it couldn't be true, but it really doesn't make any difference because the message is so strong and beautiful that it's worth listening to the story. So here's the story. There was a young man, takes place in Istanbul, maybe let's say 100 years ago. And in the Jewish community, there was a big, thriving Jewish community. So there was a young man that was very talented. He was very talented, and he was in music, and he could tell jokes. He could entertain. He was an entertainer. Could entertain people. But he was also, a religious Jew. He led the congregation in prayers, and and he could teach Torah. He could learn Torah. But one especially thing that he could do was to sound the shofar. He was very good sounding the shofar, and it really aroused everybody's hearts. Everybody looked forward to it. But in addition to all this, he was also a big egotist. And as much, what people said he was really good, it was really thankful to him for his, contributions to the community. But he kept thinking, really, I deserve more than this. And especially couldn't stand it when anyone else got any sort of, honor, or somebody got some praise, if they praised someone else, he would, inside of his heart, he knew it was wrong, but nevertheless, he really believed and he felt that he was better than everyone else, and that he deserved, and really he was better than everybody else. Really, he was very talented, and it was this, but he wanted everyone to recognize it. Well, it so happened that one day he got talking to a bunch of Arabs over there, in Turkey, and honorable people, and he started talking to them, and they liked his jokes and they liked what he had to say, and he was just, he just captivated them, and they were so interested, and so they started inviting him to appear at their get-togethers or their parties or whatever it is. And he went. They would pay him very well. And then someone suggested maybe you should go to be introduced to the Sultan, to the king or the ruler, whatever it is, the governor, whatever it is. So sure. So he took him into the Sultan. There was the Sultan's some sort of a party or something, and his wedding anniversary, whatever. And so he appeared over there. Oh, and the Sultan really loved it. It was like a breath of fresh air to the Sultan. He heard the new jokes he'd never heard before, and this, and the young man had a nice voice and knew how to play. So the Sultan eventually really started inviting him more and more, until finally, one day someone was a knock on this young man's door, and he said, "Listen, the Sultan would like to make you an offer that you should be his court jester, I guess you want to call it, his court." What is it? The minister of culture, amusement, whatever. Anyway, that you should be on call, and whenever he has a party or something like that, or something, he can call you. Whenever he's feeling a little depressed, he can call you, and you'll play for him and you'll sing for him, and he's willing to give you such and such benefits, tremendous benefits. You'll get tremendous benefits, a tremendous wage, and you'll be famous. Everybody will know who you are, and you'll be called to the great nobles of Turkey. And so, but just one thing, you have to change your religion. It's not nice that a Jew should be there. And we got nothing against the Jews, but on the other hand, Islam is the only true religion. And we can't have a Jew, someone who refuses, who resists Islam, to be, such a major figure in the court. So therefore, the king wants you to change your religion. So at first he thinks, change my religion. Listen, think about it. Think about it. Don't have to decide immediately, but think about it, and even if you don't change your religion, once in a while, maybe the king will invite you, but it's not going to be the same thing. So he's thinking about all these benefits he's going to get and all the people. Meanwhile, on the other hand, if he's with the Jews, what does he get from the Jews? Once in a while, somebody says, thank you, they shake his hand. And here people are like really adulation, So he starts thinking about it more and more. And he says, listen, Islam is not that bad. I mean, they don't worship an idol. They don't worship a person. They worship them. And maybe I can do the commandments in secret. Anyway, so he goes for it. And he goes and he gets all the attention that he wants and everything that he wants. And he gets money. Because the Jews sort of try to talk to him, but he doesn't have anything to do with them. He's already separated from the Jewish community. And everything that he could dream about, he's receiving from the Arab community. And he's appearing, and it happens to be that the 1 year, the birthday of the king, of the Sultan, it occurs on Rosh HaShana. Happens to be that occurs on Rosh Hashanah. And this young man, he hasn't kept Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos, nothing. He has for years already, for years. And his name is known through the whole country, and everybody knows who he is, and is a household term, his name. And so he's appearing in front of the king, and he's making jokes, and he's singing songs, and just the crowd is going wild. They just really like it. And he says, Your Majesty, that today is the New Year's Day for the Jewish people. And you know what they do on their New Year's Day? They sound a shofar. And he takes out a shofar, a little horn. And he says, and this is what they do on the holiest day of the year. They sound the horn of a sheep. Look where the Jewish people are. And now everybody's laughing. And he says, what do they do? First of all, they sound they call it a teruah. A teruah means that the Jewish people are ra, that they're going to get around the Jewish sounds, and everybody laughs and he makes a couple more jokes. And then they do shvorim, which means they're all broken and we're going to break them up. And he makes a couple more jokes. Everybody's laughing. And I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Tekiah. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Made a mistake in the story. He says, this is a tekiah. That's how they sound. Tekiah is that's a tekiah. He says tekiah to show the Jewish people are tekuim, that they're all stuck. Tekiah, everybody laughs. Then he says shvorim, everybody laughs. Shvorim means they're broken. And then there's what's called a teruah. This is really funny. You're going to see it sounds like a chicken cackling. It's teruah means it's going to be raw. It's going to be bad for the Jews. And he takes the shofar and he goes, it doesn't come out. And he's trying like this, puts it on the other side of his mouth, and his face is all red, and he's bending over and he's trying to move to a different place. And the crowd starts to understand that he's lost it. He should have just said, okay, maybe another time, but he couldn't. He couldn't figure out why he can't sound a teruah. He was a very accomplished shofar sounder. He could sound the shofar better than anybody else. And suddenly he can't sound the teruah. He can't go, why can't, what happened? And he's trying and he's trying and he's trying. So somebody makes a joke and somebody makes another joke. And he says, just 1 second, he's trying. And people realize that he's like obsessed with this thing. So somebody throws like a grape at him. Somebody throws something else. And usually he's a comedian. So until finally somebody throws like a tomato at him and people start calling him names and catcalls, and he can't sound the shofar and he doesn't know what to do. And he looks at the people and they're all laughing at him and he curses them all out and curses out the sultan. And he says, you should all burn in hell, all you people. And he realizes, what have I done? And he runs out. Everybody's just, astounded. How could he do it? So he runs out, leaves the place, runs away, and runs back to his home, wherever it is, where he was living, and he takes some money and he runs away and he hides. He runs to some sort of a weird town, wherever it is, and he changes his clothes and he sleeps around in synagogues, wherever he can sleep. And they're searching for him. After a couple of years, as they stop searching for him already, they figure maybe he's dead. And that's it. After like 4 or 5 years, so he's already come back to Judaism. He's come back to Judaism. He's come back to the Torah. The people who befriend him, and they forget. But he goes to a big tzaddik. I heard it was some sort of Rav Mustafi or something. Anyway, so he goes to a big tzaddik, and he says, can you tell me what happened? Why is it that I could do everything else, but I couldn't sound the teruah? What's wrong with the teruah? Why? That day is stuck in my mind. I can't get it out of my mind. I can't understand what happened. So the wise man said, I'll tell you why. And said, because of the sounding of the shofar, the tekiah, that corresponds to Abraham. Abraham, that he took his son, was willing to sacrifice him. The shvorim, that refers to Yitzchak. Yitzchak was willing to be sacrificed, and finally, in the end, that there came a sheep in the place, and the horn of that sheep, there's the horn of the Akedah. But Abraham, the teruah, that corresponds to Yaakov. Now, Abraham, he had one son that left Judaism, Ishmael. He wasn't part of the blessing and the covenant that God gave to Adam, to Abraham. He was going to get the land of Israel, etc. Ishmael went out. So therefore, the tekiah has a part of the non-Jews in it. Ishmael, that was a part of Abraham, came out from the shvorim, that corresponds to Yitzchak. Yitzchak also had a son that went out from Judaism, Esav. Esav went out for Judaism, and therefore, because you left Judaism, so you had a part with Esav, you were able to, that's the part of Esav in you that was able to sound the Shvarim. But Yaakov, that corresponds to the Trua, it says, Mita Toshlema, all of his children were Bnei Israel. They were all pure, 100% devoted to the God of Israel. Pure Jews. There was no non-Jewish part in them. And because the Trua, that corresponds to Yaakov, and you left Judaism, so there's no part for you in the Trua. And that's why you could not sound the Trua. So from this, we can understand that in the merit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that they served God without any thought of reward. And in fact, they didn't get any reward, except for they survived. And now the reward is coming to us now. And we will receive the reward from Yisrael. Yaakov is Yisrael, especially the land of Israel and the Torah of Israel. And all of the Jewish people together, the Bnei Yisrael, will all come together with the Mashiach Tzidkenu, and Torah Yisrael, learning in the third temple in the Holy Land. Have a good Rosh Hashanah with Mashiach now. Thank you. See you all on Thursday morning. God bless you, and God answer all of your prayers.
Have a good New Year.
My pleasure. You too. A good, blessed, happy, and sweet New Year with only good news and a lot of good news. Shalom.
Amen.
Thank you.